We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it.
This Turning Point conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and you know, the cigar.
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against these against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
For decades, The View has been a cornerstone of daytime television, a lively, often contentious arena where opinions clash and headlines are made. But what happens when the drama on screen spills over into a real-life 9-figure legal battle that threatens to shatter its very foundation? What if the biggest name in podcasting, a titan of unfiltered commentary, steps into the ring not as a guest, but as an unexpected, brutally honest referee delivering a savage, no-holds-barred roast? That exposes the show's core vulnerabilities. Get ready, because the unthinkable just occurred. A colossal $100 million lawsuit, a scathing takedown from Joe Rogan, and a media spectacle unlike anything we've witnessed before have converged, ripping apart the genteel facade of daytime TV. This isn't just a squabble, it's a seismic collision of power, reputation, and raw, unapologetic truth. This isn't your grandma's tea party, this is next-level chaos, and once Joe starts, there's no turning back. You absolutely need to hear this story.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to
The fuse was lit by a chilling accusation, one that didn't just target a public figure, but allegedly smeared thousands of innocent young people. Charlie Kirk, the dynamic founder and CEO of Turning Point USA, found his organization at the heart of an unprecedented storm. His youth summit in Tampa, Florida, a vibrant gathering of 5,000 high school and college students from every corner of the nation, was meant to inspire the next generation. Instead, it became the unwitting backdrop for a national controversy. The View, known for its liberal panel and often inflammatory rhetoric, unleashed a barrage of claims suggesting directly and indirectly that Turning Point USA had embraced, or was complicit with, individuals who showed up outside their event displaying deeply offensive anti-Semitic slurs and flags associated with neo-Nazis. Imagine being a 16 or 17-year-old, full of idealism, traveling cross-country for an educational event, only to have your name, your reputation, and your future irrevocably shadowed by grave accusations leveled on national television. It was a direct hit, not just on Kirk, but on the very integrity of his young attendees.
So, I mean, The View has to be you know, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and you like it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
just
there.
Go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
Kirk, a veteran of countless media battles, is no stranger to being attacked. He freely admits that as a public figure, people say false things about him all the time. He usually brushes it off. But this was fundamentally different. This wasn't about him. It was about the collective reputation of 5,000 high school and college kids. He declared with unwavering resolve, "We're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it." The severity of the alleged smear, the profound impact on impressionable youth propelled Kirk to take unprecedented action. He slapped The View host with a staggering $100 million lawsuit. Yes, you heard that right. $100 million, not a typo. It was a clear, thunderous message. When your name is tossed around like a used tissue on daytime TV and you possess the resources to back your claims, you don't just passively sip chamomile tea. You launch a nuclear counterstrike. While a shocking apology was eventually issued by the ladies of The View for Kirk and, more importantly, for his students, it fell short. The crucial question wasn't whether he accepted it, but whether the thousands of young people whose lives had been unjustly tarnished would truly feel vindicated. The battle lines were drawn and the legal gladiators were ready.
We begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced who showed up outside the event.
Just as the legal fireworks began to illuminate the media landscape, the self-proclaimed podcast king, Joe Rogan, stepped into the arena. Who else could it be? The man who transformed podcasting into a contact sport, known for debating everything. From alien conspiracies to mixed martial arts, suddenly dropped an entire truckload of sarcasm and brutal honesty onto the entire situation. Rogan's mockery of The View hosts felt like watching a grizzly bear give a TED talk on how to eat honey better than a bee. It was unexpected, devastatingly effective, and oddly satisfying. He unleashed a savage roast, pulling no punches. As he dissected their on-air antics and perceived intellectual shortcomings, Rogan didn't mince words. He called the hosts among the dumbest people on television, singling out Whoopi Goldberg in particular. He quipped that what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and you like it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and just couldn't, there's nothing there. It was a blunt assessment of what he perceived as a lack of depth and critical thought behind their often loud opinions, while acknowledging that some, like Sonny Hostin, might be ideologically driven with blinders on rather than inherently dumb. Rogan's overall impression was clear. Their discussions often bordered on farce, lacking the intellectual rigor he expects from public discourse. He wasn't just throwing jabs, he was dissecting their methodology. Rogan's critique wasn't merely about intelligence, it was a deeper indictment of The View's modus operandi, its entire operational philosophy. He highlighted their perceived ideological bubble, where they operate with an unspoken assumption that their viewpoints are inherently righteous, leading to a profound lack of critical self-reflection. He pointed out their consistent habit of bringing on a token conservative woman, only to yell over her and silence her, a pattern notoriously seen with Meghan McCain and other guest panelists. It's a dynamic, Rogan observed, that turns the show into something bizarre.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
The lawsuit for Rogan was far from a mere tantrum. It was a powerful message wrapped in a multi-million-dollar price tag. Don't mess with me. He openly mocked how The View seemed to believe it was open season on Charlie Kirk, tossing allegations around like Oprah's giveaway cars. But when Kirk decisively called foul, suddenly it wasn't just a misspoken tweet or a minor misunderstanding. It was, as Rogan put it, a whole legal circus. Rogan's mockery hit with such force because he simply refused to play their game. The View had built its entire brand on loud opinions, on theatrical outrage, and on meticulously picking targets while seemingly keeping their own hands clean from genuine accountability. They operated like a daytime soap opera, flinging shade and accusations but rarely stepping into the ring when the stakes became undeniably real. Rogan, however, threw haymakers of blunt truth, exposing their hypocrisy and then seemingly laughing, as they flailed, visibly struggling to keep up with the unexpected counterpunch. He noted the sweet irony in talking big but folding when the stakes get serious, a delicious observation of their apparent retreat when faced with actual consequences. He didn't shy away from pointing out their habit of calling out everyone else's bad behavior while dodging accountability like it's an Olympic sport. To further underscore the unhinged nature of their on-air discussions, Rogan pointed to a truly shocking hypothetical, Whoopi Goldberg's scenario where President Biden, if granted absolute immunity, could hypothetically arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. This chilling thought experiment, aired on national television, served as a stark illustration of the extreme narratives often entertained on the show. Furthermore, Sunny Hostin's controversial comment about uneducated white women voting for Donald Trump also came under Rogan's implicit fire, challenging the notion that a lack of traditional college education equates to a lack of wisdom or intelligence. It was a broad-stroke critique, painting The View as a show that, despite its massive platform, often prioritizes ideological performance over reasoned debate.
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
the culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge. And on that bridge, they'll see RFK.
This saga isn't just about individual personalities clashing. It's a profound microcosm of the current highly polarized media landscape. In this environment, multi-million-dollar lawsuits have morphed into potent political weapons, far sharper and more impactful than any tweet storm. Forget settling petty neighborhood parking disputes. Now, you file a colossal $100 million suit when you feel unjustly called out on national television. It's a powerful flex, a stark and undeniable reminder that in today's world, money often talks louder than ratings. If you can't win the argument on camera, the strategy shifts. You drag it into court and let the lawyers duke it out. This lawsuit exemplifies how the legal system has become a high-stakes stage for media battles, transforming what would once be mere public feuds into multi-million-dollar gladiatorial games where only the wealthiest gladiators or those with the deepest pockets can truly afford to survive the legal arena. Media polarization, a relentless force, undeniably fuels this circus, creating a dynamic where mainstream outlets like The View have perfected the art of performative outrage. Think of it as outrage theater, a meticulously crafted production where the script predominantly focuses on how bad the other side is, or how supposedly egregious their actions are. On the other hand, conservative figures like Charlie Kirk have transformed that outrage, not into mere political commentary, but into a direct call to arms, rallying their base with gotcha moments, and now, apparently, formidable lawsuits designed to hit where it hurts most, the wallet. This clash isn't simply about two parties disagreeing on policy, it's about a systemic war for influence over public opinion, and it operates with the subtlety of a wrecking ball in a glass factory. Rogan himself articulated this broader societal shift, observing how elements previously associated with the authoritarian right, such as the suppression of free speech or certain pharmacological interventions, are now being embraced by the left. He called it just an ideology thing, where people assume they're on the right side if their side is saying something without critically thinking about the implications. For countless young men, Rogan himself has become a gateway drug, a bridge that connects them from traditional political affiliations to a more independent or even MAGA leaning, introducing them to figures like RFK Jr. and Elon Musk, and broadening their perspectives beyond conventional media narratives.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, you know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and you know they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just it's a bizarre show.
Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
the
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
This unfolding drama is a bizarre, compelling blend of legal thriller, reality TV, and circus sideshow. It's a surreal landscape where news feels undeniably like theater, and theater brazenly pretends to be news. Viewers are left squinting at this tangled, often absurd mess, desperately trying to decipher what's real and what's just for show. The lawsuit, the mockery, the legal posturing, it's all part of a grand, meticulously crafted spectacle designed to keep eyeballs glued to screens, to generate clicks, and to dominate conversations. The View's courtroom drama and Joe Rogan's savage takedown aren't just isolated moments. They're interconnected episodes in a never-ending soap opera starring politics, media, and staggering amounts of money. The palpable silence from The View in the face of Rogan's mockery is particularly telling. There have been no dramatic retorts, no swift cut to commercial moments, just a quiet, unsettling storm brewing behind the scenes. You can yell and pontificate all you want on live TV, but when a multi-million-dollar lawsuit hits your inbox and Joe Rogan's brutal roasting goes viral, it's an entirely different, far more serious game. The core problem with The View, as Rogan insightfully noted, is its very specific ideological bubble within which it operates, seemingly immune to genuine introspection or external criticism. So what's next in this wild, unpredictable saga? Anything could happen, and given the players involved, probably will. Perhaps The View hosts decide to settle quietly, writing a fat check to make this entire embarrassing spectacle simply go away, because nothing screams damage control like a substantial hush-hush payout. Or maybe this escalates into a protracted, brutal court battle, with every embarrassing email, every ill-advised tweet, and every behind-the-scenes rant dragged mercilessly into public view. Imagine the discovery phase, a treasure trove of juicy receipts spilling out faster than you can say, ratings boost. If it goes to court, expect it to be less about nuanced legal arguments and more about theatrical grandstanding. Both sides will likely treat the courtroom like a new high-stakes stage, complete with calculated sound bites for the press and strategic media leaks.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth.
Social media, of course, will fan the flames with the intensity of a pyromaniac wielding a flamethrower. Every meme, every sarcastic tweet, every gotcha clip will be recycled endlessly, making it utterly impossible for anyone to forget that. Daytime TV just went nuclear. And then there's Joe Rogan, the podcast king who's proven time and again that he can turn any topic into a viral bonfire. His mockery isn't a one-off, it's a signal flare to everyone watching that this feud isn't just fleeting daytime fluff, it's serious business with serious implications. This lawsuit is a perfect storm of unpredictability in a media landscape utterly dominated by social media outrage and influencer power, where traditional rules no longer apply. A single tweet can spark a raging feud, a video can explode overnight, and a podcast clip can turn a massive lawsuit into a national punchline. Nobody knows where this will ultimately lead, but it's safe to say it won't be boring. This real-life soap opera has all the ingredients for a long, messy, and wildly entertaining showdown. Millions are watching, mesmerized, and every new development will be dissected, memed, and debated across every available platform. The View's lawsuit saga isn't merely a story about money and media. It's a front row seat to how public disputes are weaponized, how powerful personalities clash, and how the ever-thinning line between news and entertainment continues to vanish into thin air. One thing is unequivocally certain: in this high-stakes battle of hashtags, lawsuits, and savage roasts, nobody is walking away quietly. This drama is far from over, and with Joe Rogan's microphone still hot, poised to deliver more unfiltered commentary, and Charlie Kirk's legal team ready to rumble, the next act promises even more chaos, more dark comedy, and undoubtedly more courtroom fireworks. The only chilling question that remains is, who's going to get roasted next? What's truly delicious and profoundly ironic about this entire saga is how quickly and how dramatically the tables can turn. One day, you're confidentially calling the shots on national television, making bold accusations and shaping public opinion. The very next, you're frantically dodging a 9-figure lawsuit and getting ruthlessly dragged on a podcast that usually delves into esoteric topics like elk hunting and UFOs. Karma, it seems, has a particularly wicked and undeniably public sense of humor. For starters, perhaps this epic legal battle signals a long overdue reality check for those who believe that throwing shade, making wild accusations, and fostering an environment of performative outrage come with absolutely zero consequences. Charlie Kirk's lawsuit isn't just a financial slap. It's a profound statement that unequivocally says, opinions might be free, but knowingly false accusations, particularly those that tarnish the reputations of thousands, are most certainly not. And Joe Rogan's blistering mockery? It's far more than just entertainment. It's a compelling blueprint for how media figures operating outside the traditional mainstream can effectively hold the loudest, most entrenched voices accountable, not through polite debate, but with raw, unfiltered humor and biting commentary. No sugarcoating, no safe spaces, just pure, unadulterated roast. In the end, this captivating story is a perfect storm of media spectacle, high-stakes legal drama, and unforgettable pop culture theatrics. On one side, a conservative activist with pockets deep enough and convictions strong enough to profoundly shake up the very foundations of daytime TV. On the other, a panel of hosts who have meticulously built their empire on the currency of outrage, seemingly untouchable. And then the wild card, a podcast titan, Joe Rogan, who is utterly unafraid to call them out with savage, uncompromising humor. And we, the viewers, are all here, popcorn in hand, watching this unprecedented chaos unfold, wondering where the next punch will land. So the next time the View hosts decide to toss around allegations like confetti, perhaps they'll remember Charlie Kirk's colossal $100 million lawsuit and Joe Rogan's brutal viral roast. Because in today's rapidly evolving media battlefield, the loudest voice isn't always the most powerful. Sometimes it's the one with the sharpest wit and, crucially, the deepest pockets. And the View, well, they might want to profoundly rethink their strategy before the next lawsuit comes knocking, because Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk just showed the world that daytime drama isn't just for ratings anymore, it's for keeps.